Hello, and you are most welcome to this pit stop for Trismegistus, the ultimate formula, a game for 1 to 4 players taking between 90 minutes and 2 hours, designed by Daniele Tascini and Federico Pierlorenzi, and published by Board and Dice. In Trismegistus, each of the players is an alchemist looking to unlock the Philosopher's Stone and conduct experiments and release publications over the course of the game in order to score the most points. There's going to be 3 rounds in the game, and each player is going to draft 3 dice in each of the 3 rounds and then do lots of things with them. On the beginning of a player's turn, if they have a dice up here, then they will use it. However, we don't, so we're going to draft a die. Where you take it from is going to affect lots of things, as we're going to see, but they come in symbols and they go in cups with according symbols, or from the middle here, when you take it, you get to choose which symbol you wish it to be. In this case, we'll take it from here and place it like that there. Now, the number of potency it goes on is linked to how many dice were in that cup when you went to choose it. So therefore, I've got 3 potency here. I'm going to be able to do 3 actions with it. Now, if I did draft or not, it doesn't matter. I still get to take an action on my turn. What are the actions we can do? Well, firstly, the face is linked to raw materials. There are 5 different types of raw materials down here, and when you choose to use 1 potency or more to take raw materials, you simply take a material cube and put it down there to say, I have that raw material. The other thing that is directly linked to is essences. Now, again, the faces are linked to particular essences. So in this case, I could spend 1 potency in order to take 1 essence. In this case, it's going to be the triangle essence, and that's going to be linked to when I start transmutating materials to different areas of elemental mastery, which we will discover all the way through. Now, each of these is a different turn. The turn will go around the board, and as every player takes a turn, if you've got any reaction tokens open to you, you can choose to flip them to do something according to the other player's die, but I'm going to come back to that. So when it comes back round to our turn, we're going to take a different option. Now, our die is looking a little bit low here. It's only got 1 potency left. People will get these ethereal die tokens here like this. You can get rid of that in order to push 1 potency up on your die. And then again, you can still take an action. So what are we trying to do with this? We've taken materials, we've taken essences. We're looking to perform experiments. You start with 1, you can take others. And in fact, how you take them is the book of experiments is directly linked to the die. So again, for the die face, by losing 1 potency, you can take the experiment there. In this case, we've got 1 here, so we're going to try and do it. The first thing we're going to look at is that we need certain materials. Now, materials down here, raw materials, are of no use to you when you come to do your experiments. Again, that's a free action you can do on your turn, so you don't need to take a turn to do an experiment, but you must have the correct things. In this case, I'm going to need to turn this raw material here into this refined material up here, and it goes along this path, and the paths come in black, white and red, again linked to the die. So with this die, I can do a transmutation along a black path. So again, I spend 1 potency. Now, every time I do a transmutation, I must use essences in order to do it. Now, I'm looking at my experiment. I have to have a level 2 air mastery in order to perform this, and I'm only on level 1 at the moment. When I do a transmutation and I spend an essence, the essence is going to be linked to one of these elemental masteries. There's a setup on the board, but there's a way to mix it round. Noting that mercury, the raw material mercury, also counts as an essence, both a material and an essence. However, in this case, I want to push up this one on my air mastery so I can perform this experiment. So I use the triangle essence, I hand it back in, must spend an essence to do a transmutation, and this raw material has become a refined material, and my mastery will go up 1 step there. We are getting very close to being able to do our experiment, and in fact, we can do our experiment. We've only got 2 of the materials, but we have got the complete essence going on here. Now, if you look up here, I've already done 1 air experiment, and that's unlocked part of my Philosopher's Stone here. Everyone comes with their own set of tiles, and the first time you do an experiment, you get to take one of the tiles and put it down here into your Philosopher's Stone formula. They both have a power on them which you can use when you flip them over. However, also when you fill up rows and columns, there are additional powers around the board, and it depends upon what character you are, but they'll trigger off special things and score you points at the end of the game. But more importantly, when a tile has been removed, it reduces the requirements for those following experiments of the same type. So with 1 tile gone, I can either pay 1 fewer material or have 1 less mastery in order to conduct this experiment. So usually it would cost me 2 of these materials, 1 of those, and my 2 mastery. I've got my 2 mastery. I'm going to use my discount to ignore one of those. So I will hand these in at the end of my turn and say I'm conducting this experiment. Each experiment is going to give you a bonus. In this case, I'm going to get a triangle and one of these and one of these. They're basically all the different essences that I'm going to need to push up on those mastery tracks in order to do more experiments. And then that will get tucked in up there. I don't get to move the second tile down. The second tile will be taken down by spending gold, which is the end of all the transmutation tracks. And gold can be used as any material in the game. It's worth 1 point at the end of the game, but you can also use them 1 to unlock the first one, 2 to unlock the second one, 3 and 4. And you can do that before you've done an experiment of the type in order to help you fill in your Philosopher's Stone. Now, these are artifacts which are along the transmutation tracks. When you go across and do a transmutation, what you can trigger if artifact is along that particular area of the track. In this case, when I went along here and transformed the red into a blue refined, I would flip this over and I would add 2 more potency to my die. You can spend 1 potency in order to flip over any artifacts you have. That is another action you can do as your turn. And in order to get more artifacts, as you look down here, there are 2 in the market linked to red, 2 to black and 2 to white. I would need to have 3 potency at least on my die, move it down by 3, and then I could take one of the artifacts linked to that color for this round and put it anywhere on my board ready to be used again. So those are the actions you can take. You can take raw materials, you can take essences, you can push along transmutation paths, you can get experiments in order to do them to trigger all those other things, or you can collect artifacts on your turn. Now I said people can follow, remember that, on another player's turn, no matter what die they have, you can take an action from their die, no matter what action they do. And the things you can do when you react to another player when they've taken their turn is to collect the raw material, collect the essence, transmutate, or flip back over one of your own artifacts. Once I've used this die, it will go in my second spot here, and then it will carry on. I'll draft another one and use it and spend it out. Once I've spent all 3 die, I will move down on this turn order track, and eventually all the other players will move down. And that will be the turn order for the next round. And on the next round, we're going to get a new level of spells that will come out, experiments that will come out rather, and a new level of artifacts that will come out, available to us to charge up, that will need more mastery and more materials. And every player has got this masterwork here, which they're building towards, which will require a very high level of elemental mastery and lots of different components, but will score you an absolute ton of points at the end of the game. So the end will come, as I said, when everyone's drafted and used 9 dice over the 3 rounds. And then we're going to score some points. Each of the experiments that you've completed in the game is going to score you a certain number of points as listed in the bottom right of them. You also start with a publication from this deck and can get more publications in the game. What the publications ask you to do is have things in your lab which match the elemental symbols on the publication. Now that can be completed experiments, but also note that each of these artifacts has also got an elemental symbol on them. And if you match your components with the element signs on that publication, it gives you an endgame scoring bonus. In this case, it's 2 extra points for every experiment I've done, and there's all sorts of varied ones of those publications. For your Philosopher's Stone, as well as having those one-off bonuses when you flip them and the bonuses when you fill the row and column, also the number of tiles you've managed to get in there up to a maximum of 7 will score you a number of points ranging from 1 to 4 all the way up to 36 if you've got all 7. If you do have any leftover gold or any of those ethereal die which allow you to add potency, they're worth 1 point each. Also, you'll score points for these mastery tracks. Now I showed that you move up every time you transmutate and spend particular elements. When you go past one of these bonus spaces, you take the bonus. You're the only person who can do it unless someone else does it as a reaction on your turn. But when you get up to the last 3 spaces, they'll score you points at the end of the game for 2, 4 or 7 points, depending on how far you've got up on each of them. You add together all of those points at the end of the game, and whoever has scored the most will be the winner of Trismegistus. This has been a Game Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel. For more in-depth coverage of gaming, please listen to the Game Pit podcast. Thank you.